Enlightenment and the Enlightened Age. You know that Kant was a very influential scholar and who has defined Enlightenment as a man's emergence for his own self-imposed immaturity. So all the things that will be discussed um, by our invited speaker today, I welcome and extend my regard to Professor Santosh Kumar Pal. You know, Professor Santosh Kumar Pal is a very eminent scholar of philosophy, who is now heading the two departments, Department of Philosophy and Department of Women's Studies at University of Burdwan, uh, West Bengal. I, on behalf of Philosophy family, extend my hearty wishes to him, and I extend my regard to him for being associated with the Philosophy family, for agreeing with the invitation of Philosophy family to be speaker in today's webinar. And you know, Professor Santosh Kumar Pal has many contributions to philosophy. He has organized a number of national seminars, the university. He has contributed a lot of paper, resource paper to different national and international level journals. He's still guiding a number of students in PhD field. He has also a number of MPhil scholars. He has also a couple of books that I don't want to explore. So if I want to reflect his introduction and
Dr.
very
Narana, hello.
Okay, yeah. Hello.
Your voice is not stable. Let me confirm whether it is your fault or my fault. Ranjit sir, are you hearing properly?
Hello.
Dr. Narana is audible properly to all?
Yeah, we are hearing properly. There is no problem, sir.
There is slight vibrations is there.
No, the voice is cutting or it is there is clear flow.
Because some cutting is there.
Yes. I want to know that because it is getting recording though. Therefore, the talk parts will be clear. Okay, sir. You can go, sir.
Okay.
I shall edit it.
Anyway, we will be benefited from his talk. I don't want to extend a lot of introduction of Professor Santosh Kumar Pal. So we are today. I welcome our host and the main architect of philosophy family, Professor Dr. Pramod Kumar Das. And I also extend my gratitude to all these scholars to be with us, like Professor Prashant Sukasa, Professor Kobula, and Professor Tapati, Professor Ranjit Ghosh, Professor Radhanand Bera, and so many scholars from different parts of our country and abroad. So with this, once again, I extend my welcome to all of you and request Professor Santosh Kumar Pal to present on the scheduled topic. To present his talk on this scheduled topic, that is revisiting Kant's notion of enlightenment. Over to Professor Pal. Professor Pal.
Yes. Good evening to all of you. First, I want to congratulate and express my gratitude to Philosophy family for inviting me to share some views regarding Kant's notion of enlightenment and relate it to the present context. Actually, the Philosophy family is a very old family. It has started sometime in 2021, so far as I remember. And I also get acquainted with it in 2022, in the first month, that is in January. But I could not attend many programs. That is fault on my part. Anyhow, I first express my gratitude mainly to the host and convener, Dr. P.K. Das, and our moderator and coordinator, K.C. Morana sir, And there are so many known faces in the whom I find here on the screen, and many others. Many of our colleagues, research scholars and students are there. Actually, what I will be talking is on a very neglected part of Kant's philosophy. Actually, what we know about Kant, that is mainly revolves around the three critics: critic of purism, critic of practicalism, and critic of judgment in some cases, not always. But there is a very important idea of his, that is, we can call the social, political, and also philosophical tenor, the thing of particularly of this article. And this article actually was written in response to a journal called Varnishle. What I know, actually, one minute. It was actually placed as a response to a journal that is Berlinische. Sorry. Actually, what I'll be doing, let me first clarify. I will explore the Kant's project of enlightenment in his own words, because it is better to introduce his idea in his own word, and then I shall take up some issues that have been raised by postmodernist thinkers, and also I shall suggest some limitations on his idea and its influence and philosophical import up to now.
Santosh,
Yes.
Unconditionally apologize for interrupting. Santosh, can you? This is Orno. Can you
Yes,
just put it to slideshow mode?
Actually, I'm showing the slide. Is it not visible?
No, it is coming as a edited mode, Santosh.
Oh, so then it is okay.
Yeah, no, yes. Perfect, Santosh. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm sorry for the bother.
Okay. And this is my submission. And the most important thing is that this was written in 1784. And if we take the date of actually month of or year of publication, then it is 240 years we are revisiting this essay. And it was actually, there has been a competition by a journal, Berlinische Monatsschrift, that is, we can say in Bengali, Berlin Monthly. And there was a question, and that question Kant has tried to answer that question, and the question was, what is enlightenment? And that is the very that particular essay has been so influential later on, not only in philosophy, but in almost every aspect, almost all aspects of our intellectual services. So this is a very important article on his part, and also for us to understand philosophy and culture. And what he is trying to say that at the very beginning, that is, enlightenment is not nothing very new. He's saying very important thing, that it is just a self-incurred immaturity. Self-incurred immaturity. It is immaturity on our part, but this immaturity is self-incurred. What does it mean? That means that actually, as our mental and bodily structure has already been freed by the nature. Now we are somehow independent of thinking, but we ourselves have imposed some type of immaturity on ourselves, and that is why we cannot find things in the right direction. And that is what he calls, sometimes there has been different types of translation about self-incurred and immaturity. Someone is saying knowledge, and there are so many different translations also. Whatever may be, He's saying that it is our inability to use one's own understanding without another's guidance. Without another's guidance. And that means I have to use my own resource, my own understanding, my own power of knowing, so that I can know things better and can lead myself along with other people. But we should not take help of other people, which I myself can do, which I myself can think over. So that is the question. And this knowledge is self-imposed if its cause lies not in lack of understanding, but in indecision and lack of courage to use one's own mind without another's guidance. That is, it is not anything lacking in our being, but we are not taking any firm decision, and we are not using my own power of understanding, and that is it is indecision, and also I don't have the courage. We don't have the courage to use our own mind, our own understanding, our own rationality without another's guidance. And he is borrowing a word from Latin, a word now that is actually we can say a sentence, an imperative, that is dare to know. Sapere aude. It's a Latin sentence that means dare to know. And that is very important type of imperative, dare to know. We ordinarily do not use such type of language when I say know something, try to know something. He is saying that dare to know. That means we must have the courage to take things in my understanding and must have the courage to know it without reference to anyone else. And that is the most important thing for enlightenment. Have the courage to use your own understanding. And it is the motto, it is the ideal of enlightenment. And he is saying that it is laziness and cowardice on our part, and that we are not using my own understanding, using my own knowledge, and it is simply because that we are happy to take other people's advice, other people's guidance, without considering that many of the things I can myself can do. And that is why he is writing in this language, laziness and cowardice are the reason why such a language, such a large part of humanity gladly remain immature or minors all their lives. So long after nature has freed them from external guidance, nature has already freed ourselves that we can move without help from others. But still now we are glad to take help of other people and be guided by them. And that is that the cause of this type of thing. Kant is saying that it is laziness on our part, it is cowardice on our part. So we have to be up and doing, and we have to take that type of courage to know what is knowable for me, myself. So that they are the reasons why it is so easy for others to set themselves up as guardians. And it is very interesting, and we know how true it is, that every now and then we try to take help from others without understanding, without thinking about myself that what I can do. I can do many things, but without delving into myself, my power, my capacity, we always try to take help from others, and that type of attitude is very dangerous for us, and it is what we have to get free from this type of mentality. And when we can do it, then we are in the way of enlightenment. And what are the problems with external guardianship? There are issues. That is, they take us as domestic cattle. He's using this type of language. They use us as a domestic cattle, stupid, and carefully prevent them from taking a single step without the leading string to which they have fastened them. And that means they take other people, our guardians take us as something that we know nothing, and they will be guiding in every step of your life. And this attitude from the guardian's point of view is very, very disrespectful, and also maybe in different times problematic. If I take an example, there are some private tutor who gives notes to the students. And if I ask them that what is the original book from which you have, what are the original books you have consulted before writing this type of note, he actually does not try to reveal the name of the book, because he does not think that if he does not take all things open, so that his students can himself see the book and take note from it. And that type of thing, Kant is saying that our such guardians make their domestic cattle stupid and carefully prevent them from taking a single step without the leading strings to which they have fastened them. That is very problematic for us. Then they show them the danger that would threaten them if they should try to walk by themselves. That is a mentality of fear they create in us, that we are from the very beginning, without another's help, I cannot move. So if sometimes I try to do that, they will remind us and that you could not do that, you will be in great danger. And that type of thing is problematic. Once such men have thrown off the yoke of knowledge, that is immaturity, they will spread about them in the spirit of a reasonable appreciation of man's value and of his duty to think for himself. That is, if at a particular time, at an immediate realization, when he comes to know, when he or she comes to know that it is my immaturity and I have to be free from it, then he can find the spirit of reasonable appreciation. What is man? What is man's rationality? What a man can do? What is the value and dignity of man? And what is his responsibility and what is his duty? And all these things comes clear to him. And that is why he is saying that the spirit of a reasonable appreciation of man's value and of his duty to think for himself, that we have a duty that we have to think for myself. It's not at all good to take every step, in every step we should take help from others. And that is the issues with external guardianship. And enlightenment is what? Enlightenment, actually, he's saying the very interesting thing: freedom to make public use of one's reason in all matters. Public use of one's reason in all matters. I will try to discuss the distinction between he's making, that is private use of our reason and public use of reason. That is, what does it mean? That when I use reason to make other people understand, first I have to understand myself, then I shall use my rationality, my reasoning power to impress others that what I am saying is reasonable, what I am saying is valid, what I am saying is true. So this type of use of rationality is saying that public use of reason. And he is writing in this way: I hear the cry from all sides. Don't argue. The officer said, don't argue, jail. The tax collector said, don't argue, pay. The pastor, don't argue, believe. In every step of life, if I say, for example, in matters of religion and different types of things, when I argue that what is this and how can we, how would we explain it? Is there any explanation on this matter? The people to whom we ask this question, they perhaps take 1 or 2 steps to answer this question. When it comes to third step, he always stops us that don't argue. What I am saying, do. And this type of attitude is problematic. And he is Kant is saying that there are two types of rationality, use of reason, and two types of rationality, two types of use of rationality. What is that? By public use of one's reason, I mean the use of that use which a man as scholar makes of it before the reading people. That is what a man knows, what a man after studying, after experimentation, after observations, etc. Then he try to express his idea to someone else. So that someone should be reading public. That they are literate, then they know something on the matter. So that type of use is called public use of one's reason. I mean the use which a man as scholar makes of it before the reading public. It is understandable, no problem. But he's speaking of another type of use, that private use. That use which a man makes of his reason in a civic post that has been entrusted to him. And this is very interesting. That is, private use means that I am doing a particular job in a particular, say for example, a particular church or a particular office, and that particular office or that particular atmosphere has some specific ideas, specific principles, specific ideology, etc. And whatever I say, that must be must tally with their ideas. And in that context, my use of reason will be considered as private use. It may also be said that it is actually a professional, my use of reason in a particular profession. We can also say that. And what is that? He is giving a very interesting example. Jajok, a pastor, when he is within the purview of the church, he is given some particular duty to perform. And to the devotees, he tried to make them understand the, say for example, Christian theology, etc. But when he comes out of the particular job and he comes home, he comes to the public world, then as a scholar, he has full freedom. Indeed, the obligation is very interesting that he has full freedom. Not only that, he has an obligation to communicate to his public all the carefully examined and constructive thoughts concerning errors in that doctrine and his proposals concerning the improvement of religions. That when he is within the church, within his particular profession as a pastor, he has limitations. He says he can say something and cannot say some other things. But when he comes out of that periphery, out of that environment, he has full freedom and he has obligation to communicate to the public that what is good, what is bad, what is misrepresentation, what is good proposal, what are the important significance, what is the rationality of such type of thing, and what all these rituals mean. He has a duty to communicate to his public. So when in this second sphere, he is actually using, this is we can call public use of reason. It is human nature whose proper destiny lies precisely in such progress. And if he cannot do that, if someone keeps himself within the private use of language all the time, he's not actually on the way of progress. So whenever he is in a particular job, say for example, I have a servant, and he has some particular job, and he cannot speak, he cannot say all things about me to someone else which is unfamiliar, whom I think that all these talks should not be with him. He just actually perform my duties. What I direct him to do, he will do. But when he goes out of my house, as a man, as an individual, he has full freedom to speak and argue with other people. And then he is using actually what we call public use of reason. And there may be some question that in the same consciousness, how can these two types of use can go on? Sometimes it may confront each other. There are some issues that how can I do that? And in different contexts, we can feel that such type of problems within the same consciousness it happens. But still, there is a rationality on the ground that I have been given a particular job. Say, for example, I am the controller of examination of Burdwan University. So whenever I am within that particular profession, I have to maintain the secrecy, which is actually very, very important on this issue. But as a man, after doing the job or taking retirement from that, I can explain many things which are not, which can be regarded as public use. Now he's saying that we are not actually all are enlightened now. That what he's saying in 1784, that we are living in an enlightened age, but we are not living now in an enlightened age, but in an age of, is making a distinction between enlightened age and age of enlightenment. What does it mean? That the age of enlightenment has begun much earlier than Kant. And if we say that Francis Bacon, John Locke, Immanuel, then Kant, so there are many other people who has spoken in this language, and we can take them as the precursors of enlightenment. So we are in the age of enlightenment, but are we now living in an enlightened age? No. In some respect, we have some sets of enlightenment, but in other respect, we are not. So he is saying that we are living in an age of enlightenment, but we are not enlightened. We are not all enlightened in the same way. As matters stand now, it is still far from true that men are already capable of using their own reason in religious matter confidently and correctly without external guidance. In this respect, this is the age of enlightenment. So we are actually within the flow of enlightenment, but still we are not enlightened. So he is making a distinction between enlightened age and an age of enlightenment. Now, he's actually the most important thing here is that he's saying that I have emphasized the main point of the enlightenment primarily in religious matters, because our rulers have no interest in playing the guardian to their subjects in the arts and sciences. And that is actually he's speaking mainly of the religious dogma. The religious dogma are the most important thing, most serious thing that should be taken into task. So if I cannot take all these things with and argue on all these matters, then I cannot get that type of freedom which is needed for modern thinking or actually scientific thinking, etc. So he said the main point of the Enlightenment primarily religious matters, and there are actually rulers. Rulers are not interested in taking all these matters seriously. So we individually people have to take all these things very seriously. Above all, knowledge in religion is not only the most harmful, but the most dishonorable. It's not only harmful for us in the way of scientific living or modern living, etc. It is also dishonorable. On religion, we know about his point of view. He's saying that there is only one religion, and the religion of morality, while there can be various historical faiths promoting it. Actually, by religion, he means actually two things, if I say that. One is the religion of morality. When I speak of dharma in our context, there are different meanings of the term, but there is one very important meaning that is morality. Here also, in context of religion, Kant is saying that there is only one true religion, though there are so many faiths, that is, so many theologies, so many institutional religion, etc. But the main thing is the religion of morality. And he who has made great moral progress ceases to pray. That what he's meaning, that a person who has a great moral virtue, he or she need not pray anymore. That is, he is actually a moral person. Being ethical is actually, for Kant, is also being moral. Sincerity in the indispensable ground of all consciousness, and by consequence, all heartfelt religion. Sincerity is the most important thing. And another thing I can also say, that is speaking in the critique of practicalism. There is another thing about that. That is, study heaven above me and the moral world, moral law within me. Actually, if I say about Kant's conception of religion, he is giving importance on the moral, ethical aspects of our behavior. One thing, there is another thing also, the study heaven above. This is also the another thing. That is, we get astonished at the greatness of all things moving around me. So that metaphysical aspect is also there. So these two things taken together can be called a religion according to Kant. So this is a very, very different types of conception about religion. Now we come to some core values of Enlightenment. These are not Kant's own word. This is actually coming from, I have taken from different commentaries. 5 core values of Enlightenment. That is rationality, nature, progress, liberty, peace. All these things have been given their importance. That is, rationality should be cultivated properly, and we should know our nature, and also nature before us, and we have to make progress in our individual life and also in the collective social life. And individual freedom, liberty is also important. And also he is in favor of peace, how to make peace. And these are the very important ideas. And also in case of epistemology, if I say that he is actually replacing the theocentric conception of knowledge of the rationalist tradition. Before him, there is a great rationalist tradition, and in their epistemology, they have tried to refer to God in many cases to develop their theory of different theories of knowledge, etc. And Kant tries to come out from that. So his epistemology exemplifies Enlightenment thought by replacing the theocentric conception of knowledge of the rationalist tradition. And actually, from this, we can say there is the concept of secularism actually got place in Europe. So that is another point. But Kant means his system to make room for humanity's practical and religious aspiration towards the transcendent. And we also know that in his morality, he is speaking of goodwill, and also he comes to the conception of holy will. And in that context, he may be referring to God, etc. But that is another thing. But in this paper, he is also very conscious to say another thing also. Without reference to any divine being, he is saying that to show how the natural constitution of man as such, and specifically human reasoning, which determines what is and what is not consistent, was competent to settle all ethical questions completely without reference to the will of any other divine being. Actually, before Kant, there was some type of religion and some type of ethics, which may be called as divine command theory, and that type of ethics, or we may say religious ethics. And all these ethics are based on some divine idea, some divine being. But Kant comes to that point that all the grounding of morality should be on human rationality, should should be on reason and completely without reference to the will of any divine being. The criterion he appealed to for doing this was that any principle be universal, that is, it applies equally to everyone. And we know all these things about his ethics act only on that maxim which could be universalized for all people. All these things we know. So that is another thing. And now if we are coming to some analysis of this concept and what are the main ideas, according to the standard Stanford Encyclopedia, it has been written in this way: the Enlightenment was a positive reaction to the rise and successes of modern science. Its spectacular achievements engendered widespread confidence and optimism about the power of human reason to control nature and to improve human life. One effect was that traditional authorities were increasingly questioned. So we can say there are three things. The traditional authorities were actually got questioned in different aspects, that whatever the authority says is not true. So you have to raise question, you have to argue with all these authorities. One thing. Another thing is that it has given confidence that you, human being, you have rationality, you can improve your own fate and also the fate of the society. And at the same time, you have the power to control nature. So we can say there are three things in this thing. But the main confusion or main actually problem with other people, that the problem is that to some it seemed unclear whether progress would in fact ensue or whether unaided reasoning would instead lead straight to materialism, fatalism, skepticism. That was some people came to question that whether this type of rationality without any external aid, or you can say divine God, etc. So will it not come down to materialism or fatalism or some type of skepticism? These are the question was raised later on. Crucially, these included the belief in God, the soul, freedom, and the compatibility of science with morality and religion. These are the issues that were raised after Kant's idea, Kant's notion was popularized. So this question has been taken in different ways, and some people have tried to answer on this issue. Actually, if I delve into Kant's main idea, so there are some modern concepts that what we call as modernity, what is called different aspects of modernism is there also in Kant. That is the perception about stable, coherent self who knows what it thinks and why does it think so. There is an idea of stable, coherent self. On all these, some of these issues have been contested by postmodern thinkers also. The opinion that rational power, that is reason, provides basis to objective, reliable, and universal knowledge. That rational power, our reason, can give us objective, reliable, and universal knowledge. And thirdly, the knowledge acquired by reason is always true and universal. And this type of claim we can find from Kant's philosophy also as a whole. The notion that reason has a transcendental and universal qualities, which means reason is exclusive of the historical and social experiences. That is the very important idea, important issue that has been contested, particularly by the postmodernist. That Kant's rationality, Kant's reason is something which is transcendental, which is actually universal, and it has no connection with the space, time, and etc. That is, it is something exclusive of the historical and social experiences. And postmodern thinkers and also the feminists also argue on this issue that Kant's rationality is something which is actually we cannot reach at it because it cannot take the historical context and social experience into its account. And this has been contested by many people. Reason, autonomy, and freedom are interconnected as a complex manner. And that is, we know that there are rationality, autonomy, freedom are interconnected. We know that. The belief that power can be claimed only through reason. This is one of the another issue that has been also contested by the postmodern thinkers, and that power through reason, that all power can be claimed only through reason. Whenever truth comes in conflict with power, reason decides the case in favor of truth. Thus, it cannot trump reason. That whenever we take the advantage of power, and that power also to be validated by rationality. But later postmodernist is arguing against Kant, that Kant was not very conscious about the power of knowledge, and that has been the cause of devastation into World War, etc. That has been leveled against him. But all these things are not true if we argue on this way. We are coming to that point. And the seventh idea, that the idea that science is a paradigm for true knowledge. Science is a paradigm of true knowledge, and this is because science is objective, neutral in its method, and due to this, it is also socially beneficial. And when you come to the second preface of the Critique of Pure Reason, we are seeing that in first preface, Kant is saying that there are so many metaphysical questions, but we cannot answer them. It is actually the endless controversy. All these things is saying in the first preface of the Critique of Pure Reason. But in the second preface, he is arguing in that way that sciences have made significant progress, whereas philosophy, or you can say metaphysics, could not do that. And it is because of the fact that a methodology sciences follow is very effective. And we in philosophy, we are not using that type of methodology. And that is why actually metaphysics or philosophy is lagging behind. And this type of idea is there. In order to mediate the knowledge produced by science, we use language. And as such, language reflects the world which the rational minds of human beings observe. So language is there. We are using language to provide or to record all the knowledges. And in that respect, language reflects the world, and what our mind is observing, what our mind is seeing, etc. Now we come to the postmodernist, some of the issues. Postmodernists deny the Enlightenment faith in science and technology an instrument of human progress. These are some of the issues raised by them. I have not taken all the issues, only some issues. That is faith in science and technology as instrument of human progress. This idea of Kant is not correct because science and technology may be used in a negative way, and they are actually arguing that this type of control through technology and reason has been the cause of devastation in the first part of 20th century. So these are the argument, that is postmodernists deny this Enlightenment faith in science and technology as instruments of human progress. And spurred by the rise of science, philosophers came to see nature as entity which man could actively control through technology and reason. And when we speak of the environment, etc., then actually it has got its impetus from the philosophy of Bacon, and he's about the philosophy of science, that we have to control the nature for human purposes, for our development. And that type of philosophy of science has been instrumental in the devastation of environment also. So in that context, they are saying that Kant has also some responsibility for this type of environmental degradation. They criticize Kant's notion of pure rationality as universal, objective, neutral. They will be doing that. that rationality has in some aspect it can be called universal, but if we cannot take into account space, time, and different other things, that is we call context, then our knowledge cannot always be fruitful. So they are actually criticizing Kant for pure rationality as being universal, objective, and neutral. And if I make a survey on all this contention, actually I have taken at least three things. That is, Kant's Enlightenment could not touch patriarchy and androcentricity. And this is also another issue. Actually, some people are saying that it is actually the Enlightenment project, by Enlightenment idea, in which we can have the notion of freedom to make progress. But Kant's idea about women, Kant's actually is not very very favorable to them. And if you see, you can find that his different types of loose talk about women's power, etc., that has been problematic. It is also another issue. It can be discussed in another lecture. That is, Kant's Enlightenment could not touch patriarchy and androcentricity. And about nature. About nature, actually, he's taking actually the idea of Bacon, that we have to control nature for our own purpose. And about our duty to animals and nature, we have, but it is indirect duty. That means for our own purpose, we have to behave well to animals and nature. And this may be called indirect moral obligation to the nature or to animals. What is following from Kant's contention. And someone is saying that Kant's actually humanism, traditional humanism, turns into anthropocentric speciesism. That is, Kant is making this, Kant and including other philosophers before his, that are making a distinction between man and nature. And that is also problematic for him. And he did not take the context. So some people are arguing that here, when Kant is using historical materialism, that a person, whatever may be, and how much powerful in intellectual, etc., he is limited by his time and space, by his context. And this idea is reflecting on his analysis of women's power and analysis of femininity, etc. So these are the limitations. And finally, I am coming to Michael Foucault. Foucault is actually, he's a post-modernist, post-structuralist. He will be arguing against Kant, against the Kant's idea of enlightenment. But it is very interesting to note, just after a few months before his death, he's publishing one article in the same name, What is Enlightenment? It is actually in 1984, just 200 years after the Kant's proposal of enlightenment, and he is actually giving a qualified support to Kant, on his enlightenment. And he's saying that the basic idea is okay, but it should be reflective, but only the reflective relationship to the present. That means he is actually taking the basic import of the notion of enlightenment. Still, he is arguing that it has some limitations. What is that? He grants the enlightenment a more comprehensive existence as a totality of events and processes, considers it fundamental to philosophical reflection, but only the reflective relationship to the present. But it should be connected with the present situation, which Kant could not able to do. So actually, Michael Foucault is accepting the basic idea of Kant's notion of enlightenment, but he is saying that it should be connected with the present situation. Enlightenment is the question of vision according to its own historicity, that Kant has not given any importance to historicity, any importance to context. That is why he is writing, I have been seeking, on the one hand, to emphasize the extent to which a type of philosophical interrogation, one that simultaneously problematizes man's relation to the present, man's historical mode of being, and the constitution of the self as an autonomous subject, is rooted in the Enlightenment. On the other hand, I have been seeking to stress that the thread that may connect us with the Enlightenment is not faithfulness to doctrinal elements, but rather the permanent reactivation of an attitude. It is very important to note that it is not a faithfulness to some doctrinal elements, but the permanent reactivation of an attitude, a philosophical ethos that could be described as a permanent critique of our historical era. That means Michael Foucault is actually taking the essence of the basic essence of the methodology of Enlightenment. But his main emphasis is that it is to be connected with the historical situation. Otherwise, it may be problematic. And now in the concluding part, I will be taking some word about what is Kant saying. It may be called modernism, modernity. Is in the age of reason. It is, you can say, modernity, and postmodernism is arguing against some basic ideas or principles of modernity. And nowadays a term is coming that is metamodernism. And his metamodernism is saying that postmodernist is arguing against modernism, that they are giving just grand narrative, which cannot solve the diversity of problems in our life. So modernism should be discarded. Postmodernists are arguing in that direction. While metamodernists is saying that we have to take what remains important, what remains central to the idea of modernity. But still, all the limitations raised by the postmodernist should be addressed. So I shall modernist, if I say in this way, modernism actually faith in science, development and progress, democracy, individual and meritocracy, social order, humanity can recreate nature by virtue of reason. All these things are included in modernism. Postmodernists are arguing against all these. They are critical, questioning of all knowledge of science, suspicion towards all grand narratives about progress, emphasis on symbols and context, ironic distance. Cultures have been oppressed and ruined by modern society, reveals injustice in democratic society, relations create individual, a multicultural order where the weak are included, humanity has destroyed the biosphere, environmental degradation. Metamodernism is saying that how can we reap the best part of the other two? Is actually compromising formula. Can we create better processes for personal development? Can we recreate the process by which society is governed locally and globally? Can the inner dimensions of life gain a more central role in society? How can modern, postmodern, and pre-modern people live together productively? How can politics be adjusted to an increasingly complex world? And what is the unique role of humanity in the ecosystem of nature? What I mean is that Kant's notion of enlightenment is actually the ideas of modernism. And this idea has been accepted in many ways. Still, it has been contested that it could not touch the historical situations, or it has also been misused by the men in power. And this has culminated in 2 world wars. But we cannot say all these things can be labeled against Kant. Kant has never said that we will use our reason only as a means to something else. He has an idea of reason as an end. And if we take on that perspective, Kant's idea can be defended from the postmodernist attack. With these words, I now conclude. Thank you very much for sincere listening. Thank you once again.
Okay, thanks so much, sir, Professor Santosh Kumar Pal, sir. Really, it is a very comprehensive and a conceptual clarification of the topic that you wanted to reflect upon. And today, we feel glad to see many eminent scholars of our country in this Sunday webinar, Philos family. And it might be due to the connectivity of Professor Pal. And today, your talk is really very excellent. And starting with the Kant's notion, Kant's view that enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-imposed immaturity. And immaturity is, as Kant said, the inability to use one's understanding without the guardian, without the a guidance from another. This immaturity is self-imposed when its cause lies not in the lack of understanding, but in the lack of resolve and courage that you have said. And today you have given the definition and the scope and nature of that is of enlightenment, and you have said that how to free oneself from immaturity. I don't want to reflect upon all the things that you have said, and you have said that what is required for enlightenment. And you said that we are living in an age of enlightenment, but we are not enlightened. This is very important aspect of the scheduled topic. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
You're audible.
Yes. And you have said that sincerity is an indispensable ground of all kinds of consciousness. And you have given, at last, you have given the core values, 5 core values of enlightenment. And it is also very clear, and it is understood, and it has influenced all of us to know the philosophy of Kant, specifically Kant's notion of enlightenment, and the ethical principle that you have given on human reasoning, that it should be equally applicable to everybody, that Kant wanted to know, and you have given your own stand on that, and you have said that enlightenment was was a positive reaction to rise and success of the modern science, and you have given the different aspects of religion, how it provides basis to the objective, reliable, and universal knowledge. And the knowledge acquired through religion is always true and universal. So you have said all the things you have given. They have given um, the scope of science, how it is, how science is objective, neutral in its method, and at last. I don't want to say all things. At last, you have given um, the comparative and critical approach to the enlightenment that Kant has given, and how Kant has proved his stand. And you have also given the notion of enlightenment, as Michael Pultus has said, that how enlightenment is more comprehensive and it is more fundamental for philosophical reflection, and enlightenment is the question of religion, that is right. And last, it is very clear that when you have defined the different approaches of modernism, postmodernism, and metamodernism, and you have said that how the idea of enlightenment is the idea of the modernism that Kant has proved. And really, today the talk, your talk has really enlightened us. Your talk has inspired us to do more works, more research works on the concept of enlightenment that Kant has wanted to do. And you have proved your stand on that. Thanks so much, sir. Now I would like to request Professor Pramod Pradas to take the further approach of question answer session. Over to Dr.
Thank you.
Das.
Thank you, Professor Pal, for your beautiful presentation, and Professor Maharana for your beautiful synopsis. Professor Pal very clearly discussed the merit and the limitation of Kant's Enlightenment. So I shall have my observation later on. So first of all, I shall invite Professor Arnab. I don't see the full name. Arnab sir, please have your observation. Then I shall.
Arnab Kumar.
Yes, 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 yes. Sir, please have. Thank you. Yes, sir. Sir, please have your observation, sir. Then I shall invite Ranjit, sir. Then Beauty Das. Arnab, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone, for giving me this opportunity to listen to Santosh Da once again. He is one of the finest teachers I have never had, but I have learned throughout my life, and still learning so many things from Santosh Da. Sir, I'm just humbly requesting the organizer. Can I take just a couple of minutes to say my just one of?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue. Please continue.
Thank you very much, Santosh Da. Pranam.
ঠিক আছে, okay. Go on.
The point is, Santosh Da, what I mean, this is a very ordinary observation from me, as you can understand, that in one thing, I fully agree with your analysis and the way you have summarized Kant's position in conceiving enlightenment. But what I personally feel like is that since Kant's original essay entitled "Answering the Question, What is Enlightenment?" that
Yes.
was in a way, his bitter experience with the popular view at that point of time by Reverend Johann Friedrich Jollner.
Yes.
And there was, if any question, which you have very correctly pointed out, where there was any question regarding the ultimate structure and furniture of the reality, the answer ultimately remains to God. And that was one kind of posit which Kant refused to accept. And in response to, as you have again very correctly pointed out, that this particular essay is very neglected but very important in understanding Critique of Pure Reason second edition also, because this is written after Critique of Pure Reason the first edition and before the second edition.
In between, yes, sir. Yes.
In between period. And if you can, I'm just humbly, I dare not say, dare not use the word suggest. I just humbly want you to think, just give it a thought that this is a particular period when Kant was deliberately trying to understand the exact metaphysical structure. I mean, the way we can conceive it as a queen of the all sciences, the way it is the ultimate structure and furniture of the reality. So in that context, this particular remark of Kant, which you have repeatedly pointed out, that we are not in the age of enlightened era, rather we are just having
in the age of, actually we are in the process of enlightenment.
Process of enlightenment. Exactly.
We are not already enlightened. What is meaning?
Already enlightened. Exactly. That is somehow, if we can also take the notes of the different opposing view that you have mentioned by the postmodernists, by the feminists and the environmental philosophers and thinkers, absolutely in substantial agreement with them also, somehow there one particular thing which in today's social context also, what Noam Chomsky also very clearly shows his indebtedness to Kant, that somehow or other, don't you think, Santosh, that we are really somehow or other limited by space and time and the understanding of the time? And somehow my understanding is just a reflection of my age. That is one. And second thing that I would like to mention in response to Michel Foucault's paper, Michel Foucault's text, again with the same name, What is Enlightenment? There I find, and this is Santosh, this is just a humble submission of mine. This is somehow because of Kant's tricentenary. Me and my group of researchers from the Prague Circle, when we have been rereading Kant, and we are in the process of bringing out a publication. There we found that we are using the word enlightenment, but the word actually that used by Kant, the Lumieres, right?
Aufklärung. He is using the term Aufklärung in German.
And there, Foucault and Kant, both Michel Foucault and Kant, they have somehow a different understanding regarding this enlightenment, because yes. Foucault's debate with Habermas, just recall, there it is almost clearly evident. And
yes. I'm not saying that they are all same, but
yes,
actually he in the last phase of his life, he is giving respect to Kant.
Yes, with reference to Baudelaire, he agreed that. Yes. And the second thing is that this is very trivial, but as I if I have correctly understood your view, that we can when we are doing philosophy from the Western perspective, and at least when we are somehow in a system, we try to grasp the system from the meta architecture. There we can somehow accept certain Kantian position with regard to the limits of the reason, because without the limits of the reason, without accepting the limits of the reason, Santosh, even post-Kuhnian philosophy of science will be in a baffling position, and there will be no proper theory can be constructed. We can either in substantial agreement with Kantian position with regard to reason, and maybe we can criticize Kant vehemently, as is the case with Frege and many others. But till date, the unique thing is that we can never ignore or bypass Kant.
Yes, and that is the most important thing. We cannot ignore Kant in any respect.
Yes, whether we are in the enlightened phase, in the process of enlightenment, we are in the modernity, post-modernity, or what we now call, we are in the
meta-modern.
Yes, the meta or the peripheral modern age. Here also there is hardly any provision by means of which we can bypass Kant, at least the way you have narrated, and which I fully substantially agree with you, not because my personal love and respect for you, with reason. This is my humble observation, Santosh. You please correct me if I am wrong.
No, you are right. No problem. You have analyzed the whole thing very correctly, and the most important thing you have raised, that is, we cannot bypass Kant in any way. Actually, I have written a paper on Kant's idea of women, his observations about women, and then also there are so many criticisms. But still, what you have reminded me that whoever may be, he is in a particular position, he is in a particular situation, in a particular cultural background. He must have some limitation. And Kant has also that. And so if we consider Kant in the way Marx's historical materialism teaches us, then Kant is okay. He is a man with like us, man of blood and
Flesh and blood.
etc. Actually, and he has also limitations. But
Absolutely.
he has given some very basic ideas in doing philosophy. Say, for example, and in that context, his ethics, his moral philosophy, his idea of epistemology, we can criticize them, we can find fault, we can find limitations in them, but we cannot ignore them. That is the most important contribution of Kant, so far I understand. Thank you very much, Arnav.
And just to add just one line, I'm also very in agreement with a very controversial figure, Feyerabend, that whereas all our means Western predecessors, they have built many system which was accepted, criticized, and all. Kant is the person who has shown so far is the paradigm as to how to build a system.
Yes,
and that is before Kant and post Kant. Nobody has shown this particular exposition as to how to build a system.
Yeah, okay. That's okay. Thank you very much, Arnav.
Pranam Santosh da.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Pal and Professor Arnav sir. Now I shall invite Ranjit Ghosh sir. Sir, please have your observation or give any question to Professor Pal for better discussions. Ranjit Ghosh sir.
Thank you, Dr. Das. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, Professor Pal, I had a opportunity to meet him in Ravenshaw University in one seminar.
Yes, Ravenshaw, yes.
And this is very important. I should say what he has discussed today is very important because for the students of philosophy, mostly Kant is discussed from his metaphysical and epistemological angles.
And sometimes also from ethical standpoint.
Yeah. So the thing is, Kant as the flag bearer of Enlightenment, I should say,
yes,
has tried to establish that reason is the be-all and end-all of everything.
Yes.
And that is why we find in Kant that Kant is not only talking about, he's not talking about reason as such, but he's talking about pure reason. And that pure reason is it begins with sense and then goes to understanding and ends in reason. So pure reason includes within it both reason and understanding, as well as it starts with sense. Now, with this epistemological position of Kant is very important, because this is how he could make reason as a universal principle of human nature. But when Kant says that reason is universal and reason is in consonance with the spirit of enlightenment, then we have no problem, because you see all the values of enlightenment starts with reason and nature, that means natural law and progress, liberty and peace, liberty or freedom and peace, as you have mentioned. Now all these concepts which we find in Kant, they are very important for our epistemological and metaphysical position, as well as our social and social position. So Kant has in fact touched every aspects of the human life.
Yes.
And in this tricentenary year, you have very nicely brought the spirit of enlightenment into this discussion, and which is definitely it will lead to a new direction for understanding Kant in some way or other, which is different from usually we know. The thing that when Kant is trying to make reason as the be all and end all of everything, and he can be labeled as the flag bearer of modernism, then he has been challenged by postmodernism. Postmodernist thinkers, they are not ready to accept the values of the Enlightenment. Sorry, this my place is just by the side of the road, so you may be getting disturbed. So all these issues have been challenged by the postmodernist thinkers. But when you are bringing metamodernism, that is actually very important, because you are trying to make reason to make reason as a in the form of a permanent reactivation of an attitude. So
Enlightenment.
yeah, so that is most important. But now one thing I could not get, and that is this is just the observation of your speech, and it is definitely very illuminating, I should say. But one question I have in mind, that how can we get power through reason? Power through reason, if we take power as the political power, or say the power which is through take the case of a statesman, take the case of a ruler, and what will be the power of a ruler through reason? Because you see, we know that we are having Machiavelli with us, and Machiavelli will definitely reject this, that he will say that power has no reason. If you want to acquire power, take any means whatsoever. So how then reason, power through reason, can be taken as a means for making reason as an end in itself? This is the question which you please try to illuminate us.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have something to say on this issue.
Yeah.
That is, there is a criticism against Kant. It is from the quarter of postmodernists, that they are arguing that Kant has forgotten the power of knowledge, and that power of knowledge which has given so many scientific inventions, scientific tools for us, and all that tools have been used in against humanity in First and Second World War. So they are arguing that Kant did not take this part, that is, knowledge is power, and that has been actually a problem for Kant. But still, I shall part with Kant. That is, Kant has never said that reason can be used as a means to anything else. He is always in favor of saying that reason is an end in itself. And if we take the original spirit of Kant's concept of reason, then we can say that this type of criticism cannot be made against Kant. Still, it is true that how knowledge makes power and how reason contribute into them, it is an issue to be discussed in length and breadth. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Now we have with us Miss Beauty Das. Then I shall go to Professor Srinivasan.
Good evening, Eskipal sir. Myself Beauty Dash. I am a PhD research scholar at the Department of Philosophy, University of North Bengal. First of all, I would like to thank you for your very enlightened talk, and you have explained Kant's idea of enlightenment in a very lucid manner. So, from your talk, it is very clear that for Kant, enlightenment means human beings' emancipation from his self-imposed immaturity.
Yes.
And Kant gives the solution to overcome this immaturity, that is to defy the guidance of others, especially of civil and religious guardians. And even if we look into his idea of religion, then we find that he introduces a different kind of moral religion, which is meant for all human beings irrespective of their caste and creed. So, this indicates that Kant was immensely concerned about the religious dominance, which is very much prevalent in his Enlightenment essay, and which also compelled him to give a separate kind of religion, uh, which is
Yes,
entirely
based on ethics and morality. Yes.
morality. Yes, of course. So, my question is, if Kant's idea of enlightenment and religion meant for all human beings, then can we consider his idea of enlightenment and religion as a step towards secularism? Though we all know that he was not aware of the term secularism at that time, but can we consider his idea of enlightenment and religion toward the step as
Yes,
toward
yes.
the idea of secularism? Please give it a thought of yours.
Okay, understood. Your observations is understood. The problem is he will be giving more importance to our rationality.
Yes,
And
yes.
rationality, actually, religion is mainly based on faiths, we can say. And if you compare faith with rationality, then rationality comes first, is one thing. Another
Yes.
thing is that he is in a period, then the religious dogma, religious obscurantism, everything was there. And he could understand that actually if we cannot go beyond it, then there is no progress of human society. So
Yes.
that was very important to criticize or to set the limit for actually religion. And he is not against religion. He is a pietist, a devout Christian in that context. So
Yes,
he's not
yes.
at all secular in that sense. Still, he is making a limit for religion. Religion should be within the bounds of reason alone. One of the important books written by him, Religion Within the Bounds of Reason.
Yes.
But he's in a way, he's in favor of secularism. But you cannot say him in the absolutist sense that he is secular, because he has a personal belief in Christianity, and he is also a devout Christian pietist. So he can accept some type of secularism, but you cannot say that everything is this worldly. There's nothing otherworldly. We can say that.
Okay.
This much I can say now. Thank you very much, Beauty.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Now I shall invite Dr. Srinivasanji.
Yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Good evening, Professor Santosh ji. Thank you for your firebrand presentation of Immanuel Kant on enlightenment. It's really wonderful, and I've been listening to all the viewers pose some questions. In fact, I'm also tempted to ask you one or two questions. Perhaps you will be in a position to, clarify my doubts relating to Kant's enlightenment. How can we ensure that the artificial intelligence systems respects human autonomy in decision-making process with reference to Kant's notion of enlightenment? Is my first question to you, sir.
Sir, please repeat once again. I cannot hear clearly. Sir, please one
Okay,
second.
okay. How can we ensure that artificial intelligence systems respect human autonomy in decision-making processes?
Yes. Artificial intelligence is speaking of. Okay.
Yeah. The second question is, what are the potential risks of allowing AI to make decisions without human oversight? How can this risk can be mitigated? The third one is, how Kant's categorical imperative guide the ethical development of artificial intelligence technologies? These are the three questions that are perplexing my mind.
It is very difficult question, sir. Artificial intelligence. Yes, sir.
I don't think so, because Kant's emphasis was only to
autonomy. You were speaking of
autonomy and pure reasoning.
Yes.
Shed away the ignorance and try to learn many things. So if naturally postmodernists they speak about all this, or even rationalists, they speak about artificial intelligence comparing to the notion of enlightenment of Immanuel Kant. So this is why I'm tempted to ask all these, three questions. I hope you are an enlightened person. Perhaps you may be able to.
Actually, I'm not very competent with AI. Still, I have something to say that from Kantian point of view, that autonomy is the most important thing for Kant. Without autonomy, nothing can we can take decision, and we cannot be moral. We cannot take any ethical decision. In that context, without human autonomy, artificial intelligence, if used, then it may go in different directions. So the basic issue is that how the autonomy of human autonomy can be preserved in artificial intelligence, and that is the most most important question there. One thing is that whenever someone is making a particular software, and nowadays software is going in up to such a point that you can software can mutate itself within his own periphery, and so in that context is very, very difficult question, and very also very serious issue, that how can we control how human can control the use of artificial intelligence. So this is very actually alarming issue, and I have very little knowledge on these things. One of my students is also is actually doing some research on this aspect. He can say something on that. Hemnath, are you here?
Yes, sir. The problem is, if we are not able to solve this, these questions, then Kant's philosophy will become outdated. That is my perception. That is my fear.
So if you take artificial intelligence, then many things will be outdated. Not only Kant, there are many other things will also be outdated.
Then how are you going to, put an end to that and then make two ends to meet together?
Actually, the person who are actually developing artificial intelligence, they should be very have clear idea about humanity, about human rationality, about human progress, and all these values. All these
not
values,
only Kant, but also all philosophers and philosophies.
Yes. Also. So this is actually some specific issues. Some other people can answer to that, but about artificial intelligence, I am not very clear on.
Yes, Professor Pal. I think Professor Arnab will respond.
Arnab.
Yes.
Santosh, if you can allow me, I would like to say a few words to respected sir.
Yes.
Sir, would you mind if I say a few words?
No. No problem.
Sir, the thing is, in the context of even in the context of AI, probably, sir, with my deepest regards for you, still, sir, we cannot probably uh, outrightly reject Kant, because in the context of artificial intelligence, we need to understand two things. There are two levels of understanding artificial intelligence. One is called the soft level, and one is called the software level. In the soft level means when someone using, and in the technical language, when someone is prompting uh, one AI system. When someone prompting a AI system, there we can find whoever is giving the prompt or the variable to the AI system, he is also bounded by space and time and the understanding and limited.
Yes.
And without the proper prompt, that AI in the soft level cannot act or generate any response uh, as to what should we do, what should not do in the ethical context, how much can be done, how much can not be done in the epistemological context, and so on and so forth. And one respected sir has said certain things regarding Santosh Da's lecture in the chat box. I have found that is also related to in this particular query of sir. Dr. Prashant Shukla sir has written that I find it very peculiar of Kant to mark reason, nature, and peace and progress to hallmark of the modernity. There, actually, the thing is, Kant has talked about pure reason, not the reason. Pure reason, that means pure a priori faculty in the context of AI, pure a priori faculty product, and in the context of peace, and in the context of nature, reason, also it is pure a quintessential output of the peace resolution, etc. So there also the act of AI or the product generated by AI is dependent on the, in the soft level, dependent on the prompter's uh, reason, or the limits of prompter's reason. And in the in the level of the just the other level, which is called the software level, even if it is an auto generated AI, that AI can do many evil things, can do such certain good things, can generate some correct results, can generate some incorrect results, but it all depends on the variable that was already prefixed in the AI, that AI system. It can generate more. It can generate more meta variables. It can generate more object variables, but not any meta variable. And hence, even if it is an auto-generated AI, and if we can care about it is as a dialect, it's a diabolic system. It is completely out of our control. Even if that is so. And then also those elements that that was initially created that AI system with the meta variable, it cannot surpass that variable, even in the context of ethical issues like deep fake, real fake, or some kind of misinformation, some kind of unproductive results. It can generate all and only in the object level uh, products or outputs, which can easily be isolated. But it cannot generate any pure rational, or in Kantian jargon, pure a priori faculty product produced
Yes.
any meta variable. So in that context also, we cannot outrightly reject Kant. I mean, we are also working, and this is the humbly I am saying, because we are trying to we are experimenting with a AI model pertaining to Indian knowledge system and its terms and terminologies and its bearing, there we are facing this particular issue.
Thank you, Arnav.
Okay.
And
Thank
Zara
you,
will
sir.
be saying something.
My perception is,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
they should not exploit individuals and cause harm or act in ways that could not be justified as a universal law. They should avoid discriminatory practices, prioritize fairness, and enhance overall societal well-being rather than serving narrow interests is my perception. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. But the point is, as I mentioned, in the AI context, in the soft level, your question is very pertinent. But in the moment you enter into the software level, there nothing is universal, sir. This is the basic concept of AI, that it doesn't accept anything as static, absolute, that is something which is wholesome. It is always contextual. Nothing is general, sir. And this is also another important issue, that there are AI model which usually we those the students of logic, at least the ordinary ones like me, those who are very scared about inconsistencies. An AI system, he's really he doesn't bother about dealing with alpha and not alpha, alpha and not alpha as a particular proposition in his software level meta proposition. So
Okay.
there is nothing universal or nothing general or nothing absolute in that AI. The way the variables will be added or eliminated on the basis of the advocacy thesis or the principle of elimination, the result will be according.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that is also in consensus with Kant.
Okay, sir. Okay, Arnav.
Yes, yes. Thank
More
you.
or less.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you very much, Arnav.
Thank you.
And in fact, this is indirectly Santosda has also. I mean, Santosda, no matter what he says, that he is not equipped with AI system and all, but Santosda in his lecture has already mentioned it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So now I shall invite Dr. Alok Tandon, sir. Sir, please have your observation.
Thank you very much, Pramod Achi. Sorry for joining late and missing the beginning part of the very, very comprehensive lecture. And it is a fitness of things that we are celebrating 300 years of Kant. And when we talk about modern philosophy, modern Western philosophy, it is truly said that you cannot bypass Kant. And even for and for us also, I would like to add that for Indian philosophers, we cannot bypass Kant. Because,
Absolutely, I agree with you, sir.
yeah, a lot of things are being done in India, and which are what can we say, anti-enlightenment. And this is what is not. This is not only happening in India. If we look into the nearby countries as well as in the other countries in the you can say Eastern countries, that there is a backlash. There is a reversal of enlightenment, you can say.
Yes, sir.
Because Kant, what was he, though being a devout Christian, he was trying to bring in reason into religion. And now, with this resurgence of religion in the form of revivalism,
Or fundamentalism, we can also.
fundamentalism, and even up to religious terrorism, how can we look into this historical context in response to Enlightenment modernity? This is my first question. Second one is, when you talk about revisiting Kant, and this is also related to the first one, what you will like to say about revising Kant? Because revisiting maybe is not the purpose of just putting what Kant say in verbatim. If you want to make it, as you said in the end, that the Foucault's criticism that it should be made somewhat relevant to the present.
Present context,
So
yes.
what things, what conceptions, what concepts of Kant you would like to keep, what you would like to revise, and what you would like to reject? This is the second question. And the third one is, that is my personal problem about Kant, though I have not read Kant in original. But whenever I think about the ethics of Kant, and he says that he must consider the other and end in himself. And so this becomes very, very problematic, because we live in a world, whether we live in pre-modernity, modernity, or post-modernity, the capitalist modernity, we use others for our personal gains, profit, power, and even for other normal transactions where we take other not as an end but as a means. So this high profile suggestion of Kantian ethics is not practicable, I think. And we need to look into some other way of looking at the ethical problem of the humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have given some very important issues you have raised. The last one, I can speak on the question of end in itself. Kant is not saying that I cannot use any person anytime as a means, but every time I should keep in mind that he is also a conscious human being. He has his own end in life, and I should respect them. We often fall short of this type of approach in our behavior. But that does not mean that what Kant is saying is all not acceptable or should be thoroughly revised. But the point is always there that how the Kantian ideals, Kantian prescription should be actualized. And in that context, some methodology is to be sought. How to use Kantian dictums or Kantian prescription in our practical life. And this is also problematic if you take Kant in the traditional interpretation that Kant is actually going beyond our universe. He's speaking of universality, speaking of objectivity, speaking of transcendental realm, etc. So in that context also, it is very difficult how to take Kant on this on our day-to-day life. I suppose that Kant is not much interested in actually about our ordinary everyday behavior. He's just making a system that what ethics looks like, and what is the basic framework of ethics. If you take Kantian ethics in that perspective, then it is meaningful, and we should try to regard every human being as a rational human being and give him some due respect. Another thing about what can be rejected, what can be accepted, it is a very difficult question. There are so many issues, and obviously there are many aspects that the basic spirit of enlightenment, we can accept it that we should move forward, and we should always keep our rationality alive. And that in that context, Kant's ideals or Kant's notion of enlightenment should be kept in mind, should be accepted. But at the same time, we should always think that how this ideal can be applicable in a particular context. And this is a very difficult question also. Actually, Kant is much more interested in actually system building, the basic framework of things. But the actual matters of fact actually is different, and it is very problematic on the part of Kant. And about historical context, actually, when Kant is saying all these things, it was just the age of enlightenment or modernity or reformation or Renaissance. All these things are happening, and the situation and the historical context was ripe enough to say all these things and try to go beyond our dogmatic beliefs in different spheres of life. And in that context, it has obviously historical components are there. And still, I have already mentioned that Kant also could not go beyond, in some respect also, could not beyond his historical context. So these are some minor things which I can say on Sir's question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. For your beautiful response.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Anybody else? Professor Radhanand, sir, will you speak something briefly?
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, 300 years after his contemplation, or thinking, or philosophizing, we still hold him responsible for many of our ideas about enlightenment. These elements are certainly inspiring. Whatever may be the fault, he had laid down the principle of autonomy, reason, and all these things led to the development of science and technology.
Yes, sir.
Particularly to artificial intelligence, as our friend has said. Now, in this case, when you said Bacon said knowledge is power, Bertrand Russell corrected it by saying only scientific knowledge is power, because science has the power to cause enough damage to our earth. It has also the capacity to make our life very simple.
Yes.
And Bertrand Russell also, at the beginning of his treatment of Kant, said, although Kant was not a very important philosopher, his contribution was significant. He outlined it in his History of Western Philosophy. But the word enlightenment drags me back to Gautam the Buddha.
Yes.
Professor Paul, is it just a coincidence, or is there any similarity between the enlightenment propounded by Buddha and the enlightenment floated by Kant? That's one.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, Kant said, give me matter and mind, I shall give you an inverse. Now, what is that mind? Is it only reason? Is it only rationality? Or it is only a whimsical contemplation of the unseen because he was a very devout Christian? Obviously, he would be leaning towards metaphysical questions about religion and so on.
Yes.
So these two things may be answered by Professor Paul, but before that, I would only congratulate him for discussing a tough subject like Kant's philosophy, 300 years old and still progressing. Thank you very much.
Actually, I have not very much things to say on this issue. Gautam Buddha's idea of enlightenment, yes, he was also interested in our ethical improvement. And in that context, Kant's idea also tally with them. And about transcendental ideas about God, etc., Gautam Buddha could remain silent. And in that context, Kant's idea is also there. He's making a line that you should keep yourself within the power of rationality. And I have not actually very read much about Gautam Buddha, so I have very little to say on this. Still, there must be some similarity, I can suppose. Another thing about the matter and mind, Kant's idea of reason has been analyzed by different people by different ways. Actually, Prashant has also raised a question about actually we should say Kant understanding of reason. It is not reason itself, and he's making a distinction, Dr. Prashant Shukla, that reason as it is and Kant's understanding of reason. Yes. Actually, whenever someone is making an interpretation of saying of something, he must have some individual understanding of the thing. And in that context, Kant's reason is also his own understanding of reason. But the question is, it can be defended by other conditions, and he has raised some conditions of its applicability. In that context, his rationality is not just his personal individual rationality. It has some validity, objective validity in some sense of the term is there. And about his religious belief, just we are told that he was a pietist and very disciplined human being and very devout and also actually very moral person. And this much I can say, sir. I have nothing more to add. Thank you very much for raising that issue.
Thank you, Dr. Pal.
Issue later on. Okay.
Thank you, Prashant. Dr. Shukla is here.
Dr. Shukla is here.
Yes. Prashant Shukla ji.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please have your observation by your own words.
Yes, sir. The point was, I was always so concerned once we talk about the core values of enlightenment and say that it is precisely reason, science, and progress. But then, even Plato is not denying that. I mean, he is supporting reason, of course, in the form of ideas, and then, of course, progress, including peace as well in his Callipolis. Now, the point is, if these values have never been denied by any of the other ages, how can it be claimed as the exclusive value of only and only enlightenment? I mean, don't you think that we are carrying such a huge umbrella which can cover everything? So in that case, of course, these were the values of enlightenment, but I would simply say I don't think that these were the exclusive characteristics of enlightenment.
No, you're right. You're right. There are.
Sir.
It can be extended in many ways. These are some of the issues I have raised.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. So actually, we are running behind the schedule, and we have to stop somewhere. So others may have something to say by repetition, but we shall stop here. We had all the observers, learned professors, on the deliberation of Professor Pal. We have Kailash Mana sir. Will you speak something, Kailash sir? You are the last person to speak. Will you speak something, sir?
Okay.
Then I will conclude.
Yes. Okay. But one thing that I wanted to ask that somewhere Professor Paul has said that language reflects the world. That is which is the rational minds of the human beings observe. But how do we think that language reflects the world in connection with the concept of enlightenment of the world of Kant?
Actually, whenever we are speaking of enlightenment and whenever we are making progress in science, etc., so we have to take some symbol and signs to record all these things and to share these ideas to someone else. So language is essential, and in that context, language gives an idea of the world, and that is the thing I have referred to. And I did not delve into deeper on this issue because this is a very problematic issue in analytic philosophy. I could not enter into that. Okay, sir.
But sir,
yes,
how could you how could you analyze the Indian way of seeing enlightenment in linguistic analysis?
Sir,
How could you connect? How could you
actually,
connect
Okay,
linguistic analysis?
Dr. Mahana, Dr. Mahana.
Actually, I am not very well equipped in Indian philosophy, so I
Yes, yes.
refrain from making any comment on that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, madam. Better we shall go to Professor Arnabji. He may respond. He was raising his hand. Yes, sir. Your last word, sir.
Thank you very much. Santosh, will you allow me to respond to this?
Yes.
One trivial issue I just forgot to mention. I would request through Santosh if Santosh allows me, in that case, I would like to be a part of such lectures and such discussions. So if someone from the philosophy family can add me to their group, it will be really an honor and privilege for me.
Yes,
and
sir.
with and with response
no
to
problem. Dr. Das will do that. No problem.
okay, and with response to sir's question, just to mention, Santosh, you can recall Kant lectures on logic, which was published very later, and we often ignore that. There, Kant has clearly stated that in his third lecture that while writing critique, the three critiques he mentioned, he assumed three things to be the foundationally uncontroversial and unchallengeable as for Kant.
Yes,
one is the completeness in Kantian, of course, in Kantian idea, not in the technical logical sense. The Aristotelian logic, which is complete. Second is Euclidean geometry, and third is Newtonian physics. And in each case, Kant says that if we cannot produce our knowledge, all and only those knowledge can be evaluated, and all and only those knowledge we can talk about, which can be expressed in some language. And there might be some barrier in different origination of language, but to cultivate, to critique, and to affirm anything which is associated with pure a priori intuition, with pure a priori faculty, is possible only if we can accept that this can be expressible in a language. So that's how Santosh does that claim is in line with Kant also.
Thank you, Arnav.
And in Indian philosophy, I usually prefer to use the term Bharatiya Darshan because I find it, because of my lack of knowledge and my limitation, I don't consider philosophy and darshan is same. In Bharatiya Darshana also, no, whatever is the first point of our inquiry, that is Anikshiki. No Aniksha is ever possible if we cannot express it. Aniksha itself, no Anikshiki is possible if we cannot add the entire edifice of language into it. Because if we can even just, for example, as the time is very short, if we can just recall the first 16 necessary objects, necessary padarthas as expressed by the Nayayikas. However, they are the Aniyata Padarthavadi. They can accept infinite number of objects. The necessary 16 I'm talking about, they have accepted certain things which are directly related to language. Otherwise, there is no point in accepting Vada, Jalpa, Vitanda, Tarka, these as the essential padarthas for any kind of a nikshiki. This is my understanding. I may be wrong, sir. If I am wrong, kindly correct me, sir.
Okay, you are not wrong. You are okay.
Thank you, thank you all for your beautiful participation. All the challenges, criticisms to Immanuel Kant in the period of modernism, postmodernism, metamodernism, these challenges do not affect Kantian philosophy because Kant was very much aware of such challenges and his philosophy starts from such challenges. Therefore, he made a revolution in philosophy. Enough is enough. That was for Kant. Because the way scientific investigation, scientific way of knowing ended in David Hume and rationalism ended in Leibniz. So naturally Kant made a revolution in philosophy. Kant does not avoid the world of diversity. Rather, Kant starts his philosophy from the empirical world. But he is just claiming that how can we perceive? What is the real way of perception? That we can, therefore, his entire philosophy has been influenced by the intuitive knowledge that what can be known and what cannot be known by human mind. So that is the point. So regarding the possibility of a human knowing, Kant examined both empiricism and rationalism. And his unique development, his unique contribution to history philosophy, his notion of transcendentalism. That when mind believes in transcendentalism, something transcendental, then it is the very mature way of understanding of something. When we are able to transcend something. So his transcendental aesthetics, transcendental analytics, transcendental dialectics, all these philosophical methodology that made very much clear that phenomena and the distinction between phenomena and noumena, that what can be known by all the possible efforts of human knowledge. So there was contextuality, there was society, there was all types of attempts in both empiricism and rationalism, and Kant was very much aware of it. So Kant's enlightenment shows light that how can our mind be free from the dogmatic chamber? How can we have a dogma-free religion? How can we have a dogma-free socialism? How can we have a dogma-free morality? This is the sense of enlightenment. That we should give that light. We should light in the darkness. So, and mind is the very powerful and very precious asset of human being that is accepted in both Indian philosophy and Western philosophy. Because the mind is the only asset. Otherwise, there is no philosophization. There is no philosophy without mind. So that mind should be corrupt, free from all types of corruption, free from all types of self-imposition or extra conditions. And we need that mind. And that is the true sign of rationalism. So not only Kant speaks about pure reason, Kant also speaks about practical reason. So Kant has attempted to imagine, to think of a human life with totality. That yes, there is the influence of a pure reason. By that we can have intuitive exercise to how to perceive things and how to conceive the concepts, how to have a better understanding, mature understanding. Therefore, he spoke about space and time as the intuitive percepts and categories of understanding, and beyond that, we can't know anything else. So there he made a distinction between knowability and unknowability. Now the point is, very beautifully Professor Pal said that religion should be meant as a model of a morality. That means we have to find out the universal aspect that is available in all religions. So contextuality will be there. Religious dimensions will be there, religious diversities will be there. But if our mind is groomed with universality, then we shall go with the moral aspect of all religions. What is the common moral aspect? What is the common morality that can be accepted by all the people, irrespective of their differences? This should be our mindset. So Kantian philosophy is a mindset that we should go beyond, we should transcend all types of differences. That is the sense of universalism. That does not mean the diversities are totally explained away. That does not mean that we ignore the external world. That does not mean we ignore the religious beliefs or personal beliefs in the religion. That does not mean that. But we have to, we should groom our mind with certain a priori universal principles so that we can give justice to our minds, so that we can have a free pursuit of truth. If we do not have the free pursuit of truth, somehow or other, we are the victims of our dogmatic assumptions, fond beliefs like this. So that is enlightenment. So Kant does not reject the diversity. Rather, Kant is trying to find out the unity in diversity. That is the beautiful point in Kant's philosophy. So yes, and if you lack having such a mind, you are not a philosopher. You are a follower. How long you will follow? How long you will follow Gautam Buddha? You will follow Mahavir Jina, you will follow Descartes, Spinoza, Leibniz, Locke, Berkeley, Hume, Bertrand Russell. Don't do that. Don't be a follower. You should become a philosopher. You should very beautifully. Professor Pal started his paper by saying that we should be free from our self-imposed immaturity. At the same time, we should be free from the external guidance. That means not only the external factors condition us, we are also conditioned by our inner impurity, our inner ignorance, our inner misunderstanding, our fond beliefs, our preoccupied thoughts, our convinced notions. We should be free from that. That mind is required for a philosopher, and that is the sign of enlightenment. So we do not reject contextuality. We simply focus our impartiality. We should have an impartial, for example, in the court, what we say that there is a lady with a closed eye. That means before law, all are equal. That is the sign of universalism. That does not mean cases will come from different angles. Cases are different. They have their contextuality. But when I am a judge, I am judging the particular cases, I should have an impartial mind. I should have an unbiased mindset. That is the sign of enlightenment. If I don't have that mind, then I am a slave. Then I am a follower. Then I am a victim of this regime or that regime, this social system or that social system, this governance or that governance. So there is no sense of peace and some tranquility in mind. And Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is very beautifully said that Arjuna, yes, whatever you are saying, that is true, that you are not interested to fight against your brothers, against your teachers. But this is not an occasion to fight with your relatives. This is an occasion to fight with principles. That you should protect dharma. Dharma should be protected. If so, dharma should be protected. This is a universal principle. Wherever you go, as a teacher, you should protect your dharma. As a statesman, you should protect your dharma. As an warrior, you should protect your dharma. As a father, you should protect your dharma. So protecting dharma is a universal principle which can be exercised in the facts of diversities, in the different types of society. Wherever you go, there are certain principles are very much cardinal. For example, love, compassion, all these are not different from person to person. That should not be. That should be universal understanding of love, compassion, sacrifice, etc. But the customary values may vary. Customary values will vary. Constitutional values may vary from nation to nation. So we do not. This Immanuel Kant is giving a potential that after all, we have to live in this world. And we want peace. We want to live a peaceful life. And how is it possible? Is it possible only by having a mind of Sthita Prajna, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita? Niskam karma, that you should do an action only for the principle of doing that action, the sense of duty which can be called jagya. Your action will become jagya if it is done for lokasangraha. That means for all. And with a mindset of a universal principle. So that niskama karma exactly is reflected in Kant's categorical imperative. That yes, I am not a means to anybody else, and I shall not use anybody else as means. I shall do something as taking that as the end. Everything is an end. The country is the end. The person is the end. Wife is the end. Husband is the end. Teacher is the end. Everything is end. So this is a mindset, and this is a choice. Either you follow Kantian philosophy or you follow non-Kantian philosophy. Either you become baffled with different systems that are available with you, as that was found from Descartes to David Hume, or you should go with a mind of enlightenment, that I shall have a free pursuit of truth. I shall become a free man. So the fundamental distinction, metaphysical distinction on the basis of epistemology, that what can be known, what cannot be known. Noumena cannot be known, but Immanuel Kant does not reject noumena. Yes, noumena can be understood by practical reason. We have another aspect of reason. Through that, we can understand the practical aspect of religions, practical aspect of ethical values. This is not rejected by Immanuel Kant. So we have to understand the limit of our mind's capacity. And if we do not understand the limit or capacity of our mind, then our very understanding will be corrupted. It is corrupted. It is not pure. So that is the sense of enlightenment. It inspires us to be a free man. We should have a free pursuit of truth. We should have a free inclination towards ethical imperatives. There should not be otherwise we prefer politics. Otherwise, we compromise with ethical principles. Otherwise, we compromise with the contextual situation. Either you live a life of compromise or you live with certain basic principles. This choice is very clear. Thank you, sir, for your very honest deliberation. And the very beautiful aspect of your personality is that what you do not know, you humbly admit it. This is the sign of, and this Socrates also told that I know my ignorance. I know what I don't know. So this humbleness, that indicates your depth and your honesty in wisdom. Thank you, sir. We shall invite you again and again. And the discussion was very beautiful. And we shall invite Professor Arnab Sarji. Sir, please share your phone number with me, and I shall invite you to deliver a talk in the month of December, because up to October.
No, I'm not talking about any just talks. Or yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed the discussion, and amidst this crisis period all over the world, such kind. I'm really Santosh da knows. I really enjoy and I really want to learn these different ideas. So it will be really an honor if you can really
Yes, sir.
add.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And don't
Yes,
call
sir.
me sir. I'm really very junior, and Santoshda is my. As I said, he is a person I have never had him as an institutional teacher, but I'm like his younger brother, like really a student of Santoshda. So please don't call me sir. Ornub is fair enough. Thank you very much.
Yes, you choose a suggest a topic. We shall invite you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I thank all of you. I thank Professor Ranjit Ghosh sir, Professor Radhanath sir, and all others for having their beautiful observation. And I am very much grateful to. Yes, Sarbani Madam has written something in the chat box, and thank you, Sarbani Madam. And we are very much grateful to Professor Pal for his beautiful deliberation. And after that, the way we discussed all these things from different perspectives, that was also wonderful.
I'm also indebted to the audience because what I said is much less than what we learn from all the audiences. And that is something which is very important here. I have learned many things and many ideas that should be thought over on this issue. So I am also grateful to you all for inviting me and having such a great discussion, we can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this is a platform for learning from each other. So actually, we learn from each other, and that should be the spirit. And that is really enlightenment. Enlightenment, the real spirit of enlightenment should go with this spirit that I am not complete. Still, I have to learn something from others.
Yes, sir.
If we are satisfied with our preoccupied knowledge, then there is no question of enlightenment. Yes. So that should be the spirit of a philosopher. That we should go ahead and ahead. Our mind should be open. Should be open.
Yes.
Therefore, Kant is called a critical philosopher. Critical in a very positive sense. Thank you, sir. And with this,
Dr. Das, we can say one thing: dare to know.
Yes,
dare
sir.
to know.